Hi, it's Lindley Oz, and this is one of those nights where it is late where I'm at, or getting late, I should say, and I just feel like the Lord is telling me to record. Now, I have no idea what I'm about to record, to be completely honest with you, but He's telling me to record. So the only thing that is weighed on my heart right now, as far as the subject goes, and maybe the Lord is going to work off of this, I guess, because that's how He does it, is, I don't know, just love. The word love comes to my mind. And now I don't mean this love message that is going on in the watered down churches or anything like that. I'm talking about true love. When we think of love, we think of flowery things, sugary things. We think of just all the good, happy thoughts. But love also includes the unhappy, unsugary, unflowery thoughts as well. In fact, oftentimes, love is hard. Love is difficult. Love is a battle. Reminds me of a song back in the 80s when I was a teenager by, I think it was Pat Benatar, Love is a Battlefield. And sometimes it is. Do you really love other people? What about a person you're close to? Do you find that loving them is not always easy? You have problems, you have struggles, you have disagreements, you have things that hurt you. Maybe that person hurts you from time to time. Maybe they hurt you often. You see, love just isn't always easy, and true love oftentimes can be the hardest and the most difficult. It can take more work than what you would expect. In fact, a lot of people find true love and they leave it behind because it gets difficult, and they have this illusion that if it's true love, it's supposed to be easy. Everything's supposed to be almost perfect, and that's just not true. Love involves give and take. Love involves forgiveness. Love involves sacrifice. None of those things, at least not in my book, are easy. Is it easy to sacrifice? Is it easy to give and take? Many times we see one person that's more the giver and the other person is more the taker. It can sometimes be more difficult to find a healthy balance when it comes to give and take. Love is not selfish. Love is kind. Love does not boast. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a commitment. In fact, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-7 tells us, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. So why would the Bible give us this definition of love if it just came easy? In fact, there's all sorts of passages all throughout the Bible about love. I think that many of us have a misconception about what love really is. Now, that brings me to another point, and I feel God is changing directions here within my spirit. But before I go there, I do have to mention that love also includes forgiveness. We have to forgive. We don't always feel forgiving. Sometimes it takes time to really feel it, and some of us never really experience the feeling. Forgiving is something that we do by faith. That's when we hand it over to God and we just give it to Him, and we just tell ourselves in our mind, this does not belong to me. This offense does not belong to me anymore. I'm giving it to God. And you know what? I've done things too. Look how many people I have offended and hurt in my life, whether intentionally or not. Look how many wrong things that I've done. And look how many times I have offended and hurt God, yet God has forgiven me. And there are people who have forgiven me. So I have to forgive others. And that's what we have to do. And it can be very difficult sometimes to do that. Now, true forgiveness means we don't bring it back up later to the person or to anyone, not even necessarily to ourselves. But there's one person included, and that is yourself. Why? Because you are a person. You may be sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I forgive everybody and I don't harbor anything toward anyone. But is there something that you harbor unforgiveness toward about you? That's something to think about. You know, any unforgiveness, whether it's toward someone else or yourself, or even toward God, will hinder your life. And when I say your life, I mean your spiritual walk with the Lord. And when our spiritual walk with the Lord is hindered or there's problems, it does affect our life in this world. And it affects things that happen to us. And we just have to let go and let God. I think there's many of us out there who are harboring resentment in our hearts. And that resentment is keeping us from really being blessed in our lives. I think many of us are frustrated. We're frustrated with the battles that are taking place in our lives. And believe me, and I've said this before, I receive a lot of emails from people who are going through the worst spiritual battles of their lives ever, and they are genuinely frustrated and they don't know what to do. So I can tell you firsthand that we are all being hit hard. And maybe there's some of you out there when I say we're all being hit hard, maybe you're not for some reason, and that's great. And God bless you for that. But so many of us are, and we just don't even know what to do. We feel like, is there something that we're missing? Is there something that we have done wrong? Is God angry with us? What's going on? Why am I being hit? And we may never get an answer, but that's where faith comes in. And this too is something that I oftentimes say in my videos. I haven't said it in a while, but I've said it a lot. Faith is not getting what we ask for. A lot of us believe that if we have faith, we're going to get what we ask for, and that's not true. Faith is when we don't get our answers, when we don't get what we have asked for, we still trust in the Lord with all of our heart, and we don't lean unto our own understanding, but we depend upon Him, and we trust Him, and we believe that God has our best interest at heart. And we don't let go, and we don't get angry or upset with God. And that can be so hard for some of us. And some of us, while we don't get angry at God, we cry out and we get frustrated, just like King David did, saying, God, where are you? What is going on, Lord? Where are you? Have you forgotten me? Do you even know I exist? Do you even know that I'm here? So many of us feel that way from time to time. So as I was recording, I received a very sad text message, and I found out that my son's uncle by marriage, I have 2 boys, their uncle shot himself in the head today at a Costco in Centerville, Ohio. And this is very, very sad. Very sad. I didn't really know these people. I did meet the sister a couple of times a long time ago, but this is extremely sad and horrible. I don't know the details about it, but I guess I want to say there are people out there every day who are committing suicide because they feel helpless. They don't feel like they have anywhere to turn, and it is very disheartening and very sad. And I think all of us from time to time have had stupid thoughts, like I wish I were dead, or have had some thought, whether serious or not, of killing yourself. It's just really sad that there's people out there that feel like they have no other options in their lives except to take their own life and None of us really know what happens to people who kill themselves. There's debate over that. Some people believe that you can still go to heaven, and some people believe that you don't go to heaven if you take your own life. I think that is a particularly hard subject to deal with if you have a loved one or know somebody that has taken their own life. You never want to believe that they felt helpless and did this thing and then went to hell. So I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that there are hurting people in this world right now. There are people who are so hurt. It doesn't matter if their hurt is self-inflicted. They've made mistakes. They keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. They have a problem. They have spiritual strongholds. They have sadness. They have depression. Maybe they have addictions to something too that causes their thought processes to not be right. My friends, people need Jesus. Are we spending enough time telling people about the love of Jesus? Maybe it might take a few times. Maybe it might be extra effort. Maybe it might take sacrifice. Maybe it might mean that we have to put our job on the line. Maybe it means we might have to face rejection or confrontation. Are we telling enough people about Jesus? Because if we really love the Lord with all of our heart and all of our soul and all of our being and all that is within us, and if we really love other people, and if we really care about our walk with the Lord, then we have to take time out of our busy schedules and out of our own problems to share the love of Christ with other people. This wouldn't necessarily solve every suicide or every murder or every crime or sin in the world by any stretch. But if all of us who call ourselves Christians and lovers of the truth were out there just in some way, be adventurous and creative. If we were out there in some way showing forgiveness and the love of the Lord to people, you might have just reached somebody who was seriously considering suicide or seriously considering hurting someone else just at that right moment. Maybe God spoke to you and moved you to talk to that person for that reason, but you disobeyed because you were too afraid, or you were in too big of a hurry, or you just didn't feel comfortable with it, or for whatever reason. It's time for us to stop being selfish-minded and stop being in such a hurry and stop being so concerned about just our own problems. And it's time for us as Christians to start caring and start worrying about other people. This world is only getting worse. And if you think you're seeing spiritual battles in your own lives right now, you haven't seen anything yet. It will get worse. And you need to know that the Lord is with you at all times, all throughout every problem and every twist and every turn of your life. And I'm talking to myself too. I have been going through such horrible, horrible things in my own life for a while now. I can't even begin to explain. We're all going through things. I know firsthand what it's like to feel like God has forgotten you. I know firsthand what it's like to feel like everything is coming at you at once. I know firsthand what it's like to think about ending your life. I know firsthand what it's like to cry out like King David and say, God, where are you? Have you forgotten me? Are you mad at me? Do you hear me? Do you love me? Do you even know I exist? I know firsthand what it's like to hit rock bottom and to feel like there is no way to get back up. I know firsthand what it feels like to have everything that could possibly happen to you wrong happen all at the same time, and to just feel so overwhelmed that you just feel like you have no strength mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and you just feel like giving up. I know. I don't sit here and do this because I have a perfect life or I have all the answers. I don't sit here and do this because everything that I talk about goes perfectly with me, or I remember to do all of those things all of the time, because I don't, and that would be a lie. A lot of times when I'm sitting here talking, I'm talking to myself too. And I know how hard it is. And I know what a struggle it is. I really do. I just want you to know that. Maybe you're sitting there and you just, I don't know, maybe you feel like you're helpless. Maybe you've given up. Maybe you feel like giving up. Maybe you're sitting there getting ready to take one more drink of your beer or your alcoholic beverage, or one more line of your cocaine, or take one more peek at the pornography, or cheat on your spouse one more time, whether in your thoughts or physically. Maybe you are beyond frustrated, and maybe you feel like you or someone you care about is beyond hope, and therefore you feel hopeless. I don't really know. I know that there's people listening right now. You've got something going on, and you don't know what to do, and your heart is breaking. You are broken. And I'm telling myself this too every day, this thing that I'm going to say. I haven't said this in a long time. It is when we are broken, when we fall completely apart, that is when we are whole. And the reason we are whole is because that is when God can put us back together. Because you see, when we fall apart and we're broken, that's when we come to the realization that we cannot go through this life, and we cannot make decisions, and we cannot do things on our own without the help of God. And so that's when we finally helplessly, painfully cry out to the Lord and say, okay, Lord, I'm done. I'm waving my flag, my white flag in the air. I surrender, Lord. I surrender, and I'm done. I can't do this alone anymore, and I need you. I need you to put me back together, Lord. That is what I need. And then that's when we submit to His will and we let Him put us back together. So, my friends, we cannot be whole until we are broken, so that we can let God put us back together. So if you're listening to me and you are completely broken, or you're about to break, rejoice, because now you can surrender your will to God and let Him put you back together. When I first got on the internet back in 2012, I think it was, I had this picture of a clay pot and it was broken. And I had something along those lines below it. Something that we can't be whole until we are broken. Are you ready to fall apart? So I would ask you out there, those of you who just want everything to be perfect right now, or everything to at least be better, maybe the problem is that you need to be broken. Maybe now is the time, my friend listening, that you need to fall apart. And if you have fallen apart, maybe it's time for you to surrender now that you have fallen apart. Maybe you need to quit asking God, what can I do to fix this? Me, and I, and myself, me, myself, and I. It's time to quit speaking that, and it's time to surrender to God and say, I am broken, Lord. I am beyond repair for what any human being could even fathom repairing me. I cannot repair myself. I am completely broken, and I surrender, Lord, to you and to your will. And now, Lord, I want you to put me back together piece by piece. You see, when you sit down and you put a puzzle together, you don't just swipe your hands across the top of it and put it back together all at once. You have to sit there and fit each piece by piece together until the puzzle is completely connected. And how cool is it once that puzzle is put completely together? Maybe it's a pretty picture or something that you think is kind of neat. Who knows? It takes time to put the puzzle together. And that's kind of how it is with God. Sometimes God does things faster than others, depending upon what his will is and what his direction is in your life. But I can tell you that you have to let go, surrender, and let God put you back together. And love God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, and all that is within you. And don't just love him or what you know about him. Fall in love with God. I'm telling you, the Lord had me sit down here, and I kind of get frustrated when he does it because I literally have no idea what I'm supposed to talk about. There is nothing until my butt hits the chair and I turn the mic on and hit record and start to talk. Then something will come across my mind, and love came across my mind. And do you see how this all worked out? I obeyed God. I sat down, I hit record and started talking, and I just went with it. And in between that time, I got a text about a suicide and a man who left behind a wife and children, some small children, who shot himself in the head at a Costco parking lot, not too far from me. And it led to this. I know there's people listening. I don't think it's just one person. I think God is trying to reach many people right now through this message. Let yourself fall apart. Let yourself break. It's the best thing that can ever happen to you. It hurts. It's painful. Oftentimes it's a very hard place to be, but just let yourself fall apart. God has something in mind in all of this pain and suffering. He has a plan, a perfect plan, but it's time for you to surrender to him and let him put you back together at whatever pace he deems necessary. I feel like I've said what God wanted me to say, and so I'm going to end it right here. I just ask you to take this message seriously, pray about it, draw near to the Lord. Don't give up. God really, really loves you. If nobody else in this world loves you or gives two hoots about you, I can tell you God really does. Truly. And he loves you more than anybody else could possibly love you. Trust me. I hope that you'll share this video with other people, like the video so it circulates on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and make sure to click the little bell next to the subscribe button. And I've been receiving messages from people who are not receiving my updates, or certain videos are being blocked. Scroll down when you're logged in to Google and to your YouTube, and scroll down to the bottom and take restricted mode off if it is on. That is preventing many people's videos from being seen. So make sure that restricted mode is off. Also, if the Lord moves you to give to the Lynn Lee Oz Ministry, the information is below the video and on the screen. You can do that via my PayPal. It's lynnleeoz@freedomnationnews.com. The short link is below the video in the information. Or you can send a check or money order to my P.O. Box, and that is P.O. Box 727, Springboro, Ohio 45066. That information is also posted below the video. It does take a lot of time and effort to make these videos, and I'm receiving flack from some people for asking, and I have never asked until YouTube started demonetizing my videos, yet they still put ads on them, but they don't pay me for it. And the ones they do monetize, they are paying me about 80% less. And that really hurts. So I can't help but ask. I'm not looking to get rich or anything like that. It's just that these things take a lot of time. This is my ministry. This is my passion. And in order to live and provide for my family and to be able to take time to do these things, I have to have money to do that. So if God moves you or lays it on your heart, you can give to the ministry. But I do ask one thing. Please do it prayerfully. I don't want anybody to just feel guilted into giving to me because of what I've just said. Do it prayerfully. God may have you saving your money for something and not want you to do that. So be sure and do it prayerfully and cheerfully if you do. Thank you so much, and God bless all of you.